In his dream, Ning Yuan is plummeting into unending darkness until he is awakened by a girl's sound. He is in a dark cell when Su Jin, a girl, speaks to him by a hole and informs him that the spiked wall behind him can move and approach them every minute. He can see a route out, but the door is locked. Su Jin requests a commitment from Ning that once he is liberated, he will return to save her. The axe won't fit through the hole when Jin tries to hand it to him. She breaks the bed in her room and gives Ning an iron bar to shatter the window with before leaving. She constantly pleads with Ning not to abandon her. She recalls that while she and her friends were stranded on an island, Zhiyang had an injury prompting the departure of the other two. Zhiyang was helped and healed by her. Jin declined Zhiyang's request to be his girlfriend. She was imprisoned in that cell when Zhiyang left her alone. Ning arrives to save her, as she is now accusing all the men. She thanks him before making her introduction. She is a second-year medical college student. They plunged into deep water after descending a ladder. Jin takes him into a chamber where she encounters a mummy and a man, Zhiyang, who asks about her and Ning, which makes her feel uneasy. The man strikes Ning after Ning declines to acknowledge Jin. Jin believes Ning's memory loss is the result of a head injury. She cries out for Ning's life, and Zhiyang offers her one final chance by challenging her to sum up in one word the reason why a total stranger would risk his life for her. It is rendered speechless by Jin's comments, and he permits Jin to treat Ning. She reveals to Zhiyang that her father was a doctor, and when looking over the mummy, she notices that his chest has some numbers engraved into it. Since he works for Don Chinion of the Eastern Gang, Zhiyang introduces himself. Ning claims that the numbers on the mummy's body resemble a puzzle. To get out, they decide to look for more hints. They discover a map in their mummy's ear that shows the location where they are sitting. Ning claims he has seen this map before, but he can't recall where. They are told by Zhiyang that they are his slaves and that they are departing for another location. Zhiyang cautions them not to trust anyone as they stumble into a trap in the bush. Ning intervenes to stop Zhiyang from raping Jin by claiming that they work as a team. Zhiyang is touched by his remarks and repentant about what he did. They suddenly notice a man rushing and he enters the trap. He is killed by a strange-looking assailant who is pursuing him. He is dragging the dead man while Jin, Ning, and Zhiyang are watching him. When they return to the cave, Zhiyang tells them to relax inside while he watches over them from the outside. They get some fruits and Jin goes to the bathroom. When Jin is captured by some cannibals, Ning and Zhiyang run to save her, but not before a stunning girl shoots one of them. She encourages them to go with her because she is an LAPD officer. Zhiyang claims to have seen her before, and in the meantime savages are attacking them. The police fight with them as they flee. Zhiyang instructs Jin and Ning to keep the numbers and map to themselves. They decide to form a team and make an effort to leave that location. By clasping hands, they swear to stay together and never betray one another. Officer Tracy arrives and directs them to her team. Zhiyang quarrels with a group member, but Tracy reminds him that once they join, they must abide by the rules. They chose to join them after accepting the rules. The group's president, Kawa Ishigaki, introduces himself. He tells them that violating the law would result in their deaths. Tracy claims to have discovered architecture in the jungle, while Mr. Ishigaki advises investigating it. Certain members are not in favor. Ishigaki and Zhiyang cajole the members into voting. Zhiyang carefully canvasses and sets up an Ishigaki trap. He overwhelms Ishigaki with votes and silences him. Zhiyang calls Tracy and pulls her aside as they are entering the jungle with Ishigaki and Tracy. After hearing what he has to say, she slaps him and continues. They chose to examine the building after noticing it. They discover burn marks. They divide into two squads, one to help them inside and the other to help them outside. While they are outside the pyramid, Zhiyang threatens one of the members and steals his check. The group is examining the pyramid with Jin. She is reflecting on Zhiyang, whom she attempted to rape the day before she poisoned him with goose venom. She had a goo in a ribbon. Jin had already treated Zhiyang despite Jin's prediction that he would pass away 7 days after the poisoning. Jin warned Ning that the remedy would damage Zhiyang's stomach. Zhiyang experiences stomach aches. Suddenly more savages charge at them, and Zhiyang is in too much pain to flee. Ning runs toward the gate of the pyramid while carrying the man on his shoulder. After spotting savages, a member of the pyramid presses a button, and the gate begins to close. However, Ning and Zhiyang manage to get through the gate. On Ning's arm, Jin discovers a mark. Ning only has 10 hours to live since the skin she cuts doesn't bleed. They all look for a different method to leave and locate a hidden location where several people are on the verge of drowning. They save them. Andrea, a soldier for the Israel Defense Forces, Dame, Miss Rika, and Professor Gerard, an archaeologist, are among the survivors of the sea. The professor, who can decipher the language etched on the walls, informs them that the secret gate will manifest itself if they locate the room's highest point. They must swim through the water while climbing the pillars. Before the rising flood, some able-bodied individuals go first and use a rope to pull the others. In a set amount of time, they all succeed in scaling the first pillar. They are astounded by the facilities that savages can create. The professor informs them that this structure was erected by the lost civilization of W Ik3r. He informs them that their language only has 20 characters, yet those characters have numerous meanings. The slaves and servants of the W Ik3r, not the genuine savages. King complains of a headache and says he recognizes this information. Miss Rika notices a gate as they ascend the second pillar and taps it. Before Tracy can save her, the door flips open and she is inside. The professor tells them that among those who arrive, the gate of the altar will only be opened when one of the warriors offers himself as a sacrifice. While Ding is losing power, they are all swimming while gripping a rope. He is reminded of his teacher's words of wisdom to persevere. Although they discover snakeskin, it is fake. Ning struggles mightily to walk. They finally come across a gate and an altar. Someone must lie on the altar to open it according to the instructions written there. When Tracy gives it a try, the door starts to open. According to the professor, someone must give their life to unlock the gate. They consider using some rocks in place of people. They all advise Ning to leave because he is already quite frail and on the verge of passing away, but Jin objects. The majority of the members support their suggestion to vote on it. Whoever leaves Ning behind will perish, declares Zhiyang as he draws his knife. Ning is also interested in being driven there by Ander. Romeo should stay behind, says Zhiyang. They finally succeed in opening the door. They are grateful to God for releasing them and are joyful. They carry out a variety of tasks, including gathering food and wood, crafting weapons, and watching over the group. Romeo finds himself alone, and the gate is locked when he awakens. He screams and weeps, but no one responds. A monstrous snake attacks them as Jin treats Ning, but Zhiyang kills it, and it plunges into a lake. He is bitten by numerous leeches, but Ning saves him. Then several barbarians began to attack them. They ask the professor about his teacher and mentor. The mentor of the professor is currently having his funeral. The group is taken to the tents and asked to kill their father. When they discover Jin is a doctor, they become incensed. They disagree that women have healing powers. When the elderly man finally agrees, Jin examines him and informs him that he has malaria. The old barbarian gives the command to locate the herbs right now. Jin walks out at night to look for the herb. Due to the stormy night, everyone is concerned about Jin and the other two members. According to the professor, the W Ik3r worships the Naga, and whenever malaria breaks out, people there refer to it as a curse. He goes on to mention his mentor and how he signed a document donating his body as part of the deal, but he never mentions the name of the foundation that provided the funding. Since his mentor's body wasn't buried or burned when he passed away, the professor now believes that his mentor is still alive. He describes an occasion when his mentor tried to control life and death. The savages revere heroes and detest cowards. They promptly execute the captives who cry for mercy. Jin returns with herbs and heals the elderly man. He wishes to satisfy Jin. She demands to be told how to return. They mention a bizarre animal that resembles a monkey. A man approaches Luo and informs him that his employer lost the wager, while also giving Luo a dazzling stone. Luo hands her servant the stone or pearl. Luo stakes his reputation on the group's ability to hold out until Jin intervenes. He declares that he will continue to wager on the group until Ning is present. Zico, the mentor of the professor, is also present and demands that the man give him his riches. He also lets Luo know that Ning is experiencing amnesia. Zhiyang feels lightheaded after taking one of the savages' pipes. They are given some food and drink by the barbarians. They engage in a crossbow duel with Ander. One of the savages is hurt when a ghost monkey attacks them. To prevent him from becoming a ghost, they decide to bury his body, but he escapes while still hurting another savage. Old Savage explains how everyone else in the gang turned into a ghost, except for him as they prepare to depart. His son too turned into a ghost, and he died right in front of him. Ning is asked by Zhiyang what he will do if forced to kill him. Ning responds by promising never to kill anyone. The gang is about to go when the old savage forbids them to go to the ritual of the new chief's enthronement. Additionally, the new chief Magu begins acting like a ghost and starts to kill everyone. After the group splits up, the professor and Ding advise the remaining members to reunite before dusk. Because Jin prevented malaria from spreading to their town, several savages who are pursuing her do not murder her. Ning regains his memory while they spend the night on the shore. Ding rushes across the water to save himself from a crocodile and meets Zhiyang. Ghost monkeys attack them, but Zhiyang orders Ding to leave while he engages the monkeys in combat. When a crocodile attacks Ning, he uses a rope to escape, but Zhiyang kills it. But after rubbing his body with the ghost monkey, Zhiyang is going to transform into a ghost. The professor advises visiting the volcano so that Jin can provide them with antitoxin. Jin finally gets to know Tracy and Andre. While they are stranded in a marsh, Ning, Professor, and Ding are also traveling to the volcano. The Professor and Ning come to their aid. There are only 3 bullets left in Tracy's revolver. Because they are out of food, Jin proposes to gather some. They resolve to gather before dusk and assign various responsibilities. The Professor warns Ning that Zhiyang could at any moment transform into a zombie despite Ning's assurances that Zhiyang will always be by his side. When King reminds Zhiyang of their oath, Zhiyang responds that he doesn't want to turn into a zombie. King promises him that he will bring an antidote for him, but that he will have to kill him if he turns into a zombie first. Tracy is informed that Ender likes her. Tracy recalls a day when he met a man named Eric, who looked like Ender. Ishikaji warns Tracy to exercise caution and avoid spending time with Ender alone. The fruits Tracy and Ender left behind are found by Ning and the Professor. King advises visiting the volcano to obtain a cure. Tracy, when Jin and the other group members arrive at the blazing mountain, they discover that Mr. Ishikaji is not among them. While they look for him, they can hear Jin's voice. They witness Jin jumping into the marsh as they flee. Jin is saved after they locate Mr. Ishikaji and Ao. Finally, they discovered Mr. Ishikaji unconscious. They locate a lake with hot water and take a shower there. Zhiyang experiences lightheadedness and blurry vision. They discover that they are on the right track after discovering several hints. The Professor contracted malaria as a result of his lake dip. Due to this condition, the Professor is unable to travel further, so Zhiyang stays with him while Ning gets medicine. A man-made tunnel and an electrical breaker are discovered by Tracy and Ender in a room. Some organizations have research facilities there. A subterranean power plant is discovered by Tracy. She enters and rushes Ender while the door is shut. Ning intervenes as they are about to kill each other. Tracy is a criminal, not an officer, according to Ender. When Ning and Tracy come, Jin gives Mr. Ao some fruit. While searching for Zhiyang and the Professor, Jin and Ning are unable to locate them. They'd also discover a knife in the wall. They return after a protracted search. To find Zhiyang and the Professor, they all head to cab. After discovering the equipment there, they assume it must be a communication satellite. A few skeletons, an electronic door, and a data center are found, and a password to access them is all discovered. Ishikaji attempts to restart the computers and change the passwords. He divides the group into 2 teams and assigns each team various responsibilities. In the biomedical lab, Tracy and her team discover immortal monkeys. They surmise that the virus's antidote must also be present. Ishikaji is giving them directions from the data room as Ning and his team search the living area. Along with some cards of military guys, they discover spacesuits. Mr. Ao admits that since he lost the championship match, he has had a psychiatric condition. Despite Coach greatly assisted him in escaping this, he still gets confused whenever he is put in a difficult scenario. They also come across a restaurant that is littered with skeletons and dead bodies. Devastation and suffering are widespread. Another door within the eatery leads to a different dining area that might be for senior citizens. They think there is a shadowy figure behind the sofa. When Jin and her crew discover that the antidote has already been stolen, Jin doesn't give up and cheers the others on. In addition to dying, the man behind the sofa also had a notebook in his pocket. Ender follows Mr. Wu after spotting someone behind him. Knowing that there were some human experiments at the lab makes Jin and Tracy extremely nervous. While they are moving, there is an explosion, forcing them to hide. Tracy assumes Ender intends to murder them. Ding attempts to open the door first and let them in, but he is hurt and cannot move. They reach a door, but it is locked as they sprint up the stairs. They manage to get into the restroom and take cover there. Someone else is also ascending the stairs and making their way to the restroom. Suddenly, poisonous smoke filled the bathroom. The door is locked when they attempt to leave. Ishikaji informs Ning and Mr. O that Ender attacked Tracy and Jin and carried them somewhere as they both passed out. In 10 minutes, they must unlock the system using the supervisor's thumbprint, otherwise they would be destroyed along with the system. The supervisor's dead body is brought to the restaurant by Mr. Ao, and just in time, they manage to open it.